So, from feeling stuck in a rut to being able to celebrate 50 shades of change, what does it take to actually have what you want? Hi there everybody, I am Rosanna, otherwise known as Rosie Glow, and I wanted to celebrate the ongoing story of one of my fabulous clients, Nina, who has been working with me one-to-one. She has completed 2 rounds of one-to-one coaching with me, and it's so important to celebrate that although she hasn't had her ultimate result yet, which is that she would like to conceive and grow a healthy baby and give birth, she has made so many positive changes towards that eventual outcome, which I truly believe will come for her, that we really do need to celebrate the journey as well as reaching the destination. So this is a celebration of her journey, and it is for any of you who have a desire that seems far away from you. In fact, it is worth listening to if the very thing that you say you want the most, you recognize you're also terrified of having, and in fact you just don't believe it is possible, because this is what was true for Nina. When we first started to work together, even the thought of being pregnant was something that made her feel squeamish. We had issues to do with sexual enjoyment, we had issues to do with work, with how she relaxes. We have the classic scenario, which is so common with anybody who finds it difficult to be in their mental body, so to deal with their thoughts, to deal with their emotions, to actually be comfortable in their physical body. And this is the addiction of over-exercising, and I see it across the board. It's ironic because we're taught that exercise is really good for us, but just like anything you do, the intention behind it will also govern what it's actually doing for you. And often when we over-exercise, so we're talking here about high-impact exercise, what we're doing is going for a temporary endorphin fix that makes us feel better, but we're still stuck in this energy of super fast, go, 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 must do something to achieve. And in the world of doing, we are not being. So if you understand your power as a co-creator of your reality, which is what I teach people in my coaching work, my one-to-one and group coaching, then you understand that your vibration has to be a match for what it is you say you want. If it's not a match, you're never going to get it. So if your vibration is in a mode of run, 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 keep it this high vibe, do everything you can to just stop yourself from being where you are, the discomfort of what is there unless you try and change it, then you're not going to achieve the results that you actually want. So everything is about looking at why we do it, what it gives to us, and also what is the payment for it. With over-exercising, we can end up with all sorts of aches and pains. It can truly affect our fertility. It can affect our ability to really calm and relax. And there are lots of other things too. So rather than go on and on, I think it's just important to celebrate these changes and go through them with you one by one, because it was Nina that sent me these 50 shades of change. I was blown away, like, to notice how many things she has actually noticed she has gone through and changed since she started working with me 11 months ago. And I think it is really important to understand that we all need time to embed the changes that are taking place. One part of this is actually to integrate it. Another part of it is to embody it. So the time that you're working with me, and often a short period of time after, which can be weeks or months, you are in the process of integrating. And once you've integrated it, you get to embody it. Now, the beautiful thing about embodiment is your vibration is different. And once you maintain that vibration at a different frequency for a sustained period of time, that's when your outer environment can really start to reflect back to you what it is you want. And you're also giving the message to your physiology that you are safe to have what you want. And this was the biggest issue for Nina. She needed to feel safe in her body, in her relationship, in her work life, in her life in general, and in every area to feel supported, which involved her also respecting her own boundaries. She's had to go through some tough shifts, you know, like part of this is unplugging from what we're used to and plugging in on a different level. And I really have to commend her commitment to the change, because what we all do when things get tough is we tend to doubt the decisions we're making, we tend to doubt ourselves, and that's when we start to take lots of steps back and we erode the good work that we're doing. What I'm so excited about, because I've seen this every time I've worked with someone, is you start affecting change in one area of life, and that change will happen 360. It will affect every area of your life, and that's what I wanted to celebrate with Nina, because She's had a 20% pay rise. She's gone from essentially being a contractor to having an amazing permanent position offered to her that she has now taken and she's getting settled into. Her partner has stepped up because part of the story in all of this was that she was controlling everything. As part of her need to feel safe, she was in control of everything, and that meant the purse strings, that meant a lot of the decisions, that meant the future, and it didn't feel safe for her in the circumstances that she was in when she came to me to actually conceive of the idea of conceiving and being pregnant and giving birth and then being able to go back to work just like that, as though nothing's actually changed. We all know, those of us who've had babies, that our babies change us. Okay, they change us fundamentally. Pregnancy changes us. So does taking care of a newborn that basically needs you to do everything for them. And that growth from total dependence to independence is something we've all been through. But most of us in our early lives have actually encountered challenging situations that have left their mark. And when we're having an issue with having what we want, actually being able to create it in our lives, we have to be able to look back to have some sense of why that might have been the case in order to then trust that we can move forward in a new direction. Because we don't live the life that we want until we look at reprogramming our subconscious and aligning our subconscious programming with our conscious will. We're actually living the life we were given. We're living the life of the truth that was around us when we were too young to make those decisions for ourselves. So anything from conception through to the first 7 years of life, and then through teenhood and early adulthood, we have all sorts of experiences that shape us. But let's go on to these celebrations very quickly, and I'll take you where we are now. So these are her observations. I hope that you'll see that you'll recognise some of these in yourself, and although there are always exceptions to the rules, when you are looking to create safety, you're going to have to see where you don't feel safe first, and that means feeling safe with someone to help you look into those spaces and to trust that it is safe to look at the mess and then to create some order out of it. And often that order comes from letting go rather than trying to control things more. So here you go. 1. After a lifetime since my teens spent doing regular high-impact exercise, I've given this up without much difficulty. This was essential to calm her nervous system. When we're working super high, when we're doing lots of exercise, very often our progesterone levels will be affected and they will be lowered, and this can actually affect our capacity to get pregnant in the first place. I now love time on my yoga mat at home instead. This was never going to happen. Surprisingly to me, despite the above, my body image has improved and my body looks better. 4. I am not so afraid of stillness. 5. I have let go of my previous Diet Coke intake. So she was seriously addicted to Diet Coke, as she was with exercise, and she's managed to drop that down now so that she enjoys it as a treat. I have stopped taking IBS medication after 10 years without difficulty or effort. Now, anything to do with the digestive tract is also going to do with the nervous system, and it's also going to affect fertility. So if you have got issues with your gut, IBS, Crohn's, anything really, it doesn't even have to be diagnosed, you just notice you're sensitive to food. Remember that energy that would otherwise be put towards repairing the cells of your reproductive functioning is going towards digestion. So recognizing what is needed for your body to be optimal is essential when you're on a fertility journey, but also when you're on any journey where you're seeking to focus your attention where you want to go. We comfort eat, and that comfort eating sends us into a spiral of guilt and blame and shame, and when we feel crap about ourselves, we're not going to feel that we are worthy of the things that we want, even though we're worthy of them anyway. We do deserve to show up in a way that we're ready to receive the gifts that we so want. Okay, so I'm letting go of using melatonin for sleep without effort. So there was a whole sleep routine around Nina that was essential for her to do. And if anything sort of went out of what she was used to doing, this would then create a spiral of other issues. And this is why, noticing what your tendencies are, whether they are towards OCD, so towards being obsessive and controlling in what you have to do in order to feel safe, we start where you're at. There's no wrong place to be. There's just the truth of where you are, and then looking at where we want to get to and creating a bridge to make it possible. I am trusting that I can be more flexible with my diet. I sometimes fall asleep naturally without an eye mask and earplugs or even setting my alarm. the things I used to feel I couldn't sleep without. I enjoy spending time at home rather than rushing around and staying out lots. This is classic. How many of you just can't sit still in your home? I have largely let go of refined sugar. I'm trusting myself to have things I want in moderation, like a glass of wine, milk, dairy, tea with caffeine, and that my body can process it. Now, for so many people on a fertility journey, we're told you've got to cut everything out, and you're so busy obsessing about doing everything right that we can end up feeling really bitter and resentful about it. So letting go a bit is actually where your body relaxes, and when your body relaxes, you're not in a state of fight, flight or freeze, are you? So you're able to rest, repair, feed and breed, which is the parasympathetic nervous system at play, and this is essential for happy baby making and actually for any intention setting to come to fruition. You can't create something you want from a stressed and worried space. You have to shift your vibration to the feeling space of already having it, of having received it. Now that's a big journey in here when you've been programmed to believe things are not possible. Okay, so we're on 13. I was able to ask for and receive a 20% day rate increase. So this is when Nina was still contracting, but she has shifted that now. I have been offered a promotion and a 6-figure salary, which she has taken. I have let go of a lot of anxiety around public speaking at work. Now, these 3 things in themselves, part of the issue for Nina was she needed to feel safe, to be able to trust that if she didn't work, she'd still get paid, because so much of her lifestyle was dependent on her income. So being able to go permanent from a contracting type role means that obviously she's got access to healthcare, she's got access to sick pay, she's got access to maternity leave as and when she needs it. And these are all things that play in the back of your mind if you haven't actually taken care of them and realised it's the smallest things that can end up creating the biggest blocks, because they're all contributing to the same thing. I must do everything. How am I going to do things? Who have I got to lean on? Who can support me? If I don't do it myself, no one else will. And that's not going to help you have what you want, whatever that may be. I don't need to eat as much fibre as I used to or use it as a crutch. My digestion is really, really good, better than ever. My nervous system has calmed down lots. I have a more positive relationship with my monthly cycle. Now, this is essential because you know what it's like when you don't want your period to come and it comes. But it's actually starting to see the value of what each menstrual cycle brings for you, because it is a detox of very deeply ingrained feelings, beliefs, stories that we need to clear for ourselves and our partners. I have confidence in using multi-dimensional tools I've learnt through Rosie's work on a daily basis. So this is what she learnt with me. I was miraculously moved off a work project that was challenging earlier this year. Things have been much better since, but it wasn't so miraculous. She actually allowed herself to clear her resistance to being more powerful at work and to speaking up and to owning her authority and her skills, and to actually trust that if she invited grace and ease into every area of her life, then that meant that work should also be graceful and easy, and she shouldn't have to suffer there for the money that she gets in return. So many people, especially in higher rate earners, feel that the payoff for earning more money is that they have to be miserable and have to be stressed, and this is really not the case. But until you decide something different, this is what your truth will be. I am finding sex better, easier, more comfortable. Now, this was a big issue because sex was not her favourite thing at all, and intimacy, sexual enjoyment, I've found is an important aspect of couples conceiving naturally, at least because it's about your bond, it's about the glue, it's about what brings you together energetically to harmonise your energy fields, which is a process called entrainment. And if you know you've got to do something you really don't want to do to get something you want, you can see there is resistance there to actually having what you want, because the gateway you have to go through is one you dread going through. And adjusting your perception around that and being able to make friends with the process of baby making is really important if you want to conceive naturally. At least maximise your chances of conceiving naturally before looking at potentially going down the IVF route or other assisted fertility methods. Even so, we still want to approach that whole process with our hearts, with being conscious of the sperm and the egg, and even though they might not be with us for a period of time, that energetically we're connected to them. We're not just biomechanical creatures. We are so much more than our biology. And when we start to access our power as energy beings as well as physical beings, we start to get amazing results. But we do need to be persistent in dropping out of the old ways, which is the mental activity and the ego programming, into trusting our power as co-creators, which is what I've been working with Nina all this time to be able to do. I've reconnected with what I call God. Now, God, source, higher power, if you found that you had a positive relationship with it and then you lost faith because you felt that the things that were important to you didn't come about, building a positive relationship again with the higher frequencies of love and light, whether you call them God or source or your higher self or your angels and guides, is essential for you to feel safe and supported in life. Do you believe that life loves you and wants you to be happy? Well, that's an essential belief to start working with, and if you don't, then it's going to be very difficult for you to have things you want, because your belief is, subconsciously, even if consciously you'd say yeah, if those you grew up around were miserable and struggled and actually didn't have a positive mindset around life, or you found that they'd hope that things would get better but they never did, then you're not going to believe it, are you? And until you believe it, it's very difficult to achieve it. Miracles do happen, but exceptions to the rule are harder to fathom and harder to create than the actual going with the flow. I am more comfortable taking risks and letting go around, for example, my schedule, my anger, my feelings, and opening up to people at work. So this is about transparency and authenticity. I am more comfortable taking risks and letting go around my schedule, my anger, my feelings. This is about trusting that you're loved no matter what, right? This is about the fact that you are worthy of the things you desire, whether you behave or you don't behave. Being able to be authentic and transparent with yourself is the first stage of then being able to be authentic and transparent with others. And that means vulnerable. But the journey of having what you want really does invite you to be vulnerable, to trust that we're all fallible, that it's okay not to get things right. It's okay to do your best. It's okay to fail 100 times before you succeed, because every time you're learning something from it. And really, I see failure as an attack on self-mastery, just as a concept, the idea of failure, because people who are successes in life are there by virtue of their tenacity. They're there by virtue of the fact that they don't give up when the going gets tough. They show commitment to themselves and their outcome no matter what, and that's how they get it. All right, 25. I've stopped watching the news or consuming any mainstream media at all for months now, and I feel much better for it. If you're filling your head up with the toxicity of what's out there in the aim of being informed, good luck. Please don't contact me. You're not going to find what you need there, and it's just going to scare you and make you feel more and more that having what you want isn't something that is safe to do, because the world out there just isn't safe to bring babies into or to create a change within, because it's all going downhill. Well, it's not. Okay, we are co-creating a whole new earth paradigm. Those of us who are learning to be conscious co-creators and to clear up our erroneous beliefs that make us believe otherwise. Reality is really subjective. We're all living our own virtual reality, and the more people subscribe to something, the more true it becomes, because it becomes more thick in the ethers. Yeah? Whatever you focus on is going to grow. And this is one of the essential teachings that I offer in my work. So don't focus on the things that you don't want to grow in your life. I've stopped watching TV dramas that scare or upset me. The news, TV dramas, what do they do to your nervous system? Fight, flight, freeze. Not rest, repair, feed and breed. So why would you do that to yourself? Oh, you're an adrenaline junkie. Okay, so when did that start? That may well have started from your time in the womb, to be fair, because if your mum was anxious, if she thought the world wasn't a particularly safe place, if she worried a lot, if she complained a lot, if she didn't feel supported, if she internalized her emotions, if she thought negatively about herself and lacked confidence and self-worth, all of this generates a fight, flight, freeze response, the sympathetic nervous system. It's actually fight or flight, and then it leads to freeze because we get exhausted by the fight and the flight. So, remember that the emotions that you believe are your emotions, the ones that you most identify with, are not yours at all. They actually came from your time in the womb, whether your biological mom brought you up or not. Most of the baseline feelings you identify with have nothing to do with you. Just like you're carrying a lot of stories of trauma in your cellular memory that are not yours, they're inherited stories. You're also carrying stories of success. It's the trauma that's going to be undermining you, not the success. So we want to unhook from the trauma and hook into the stories of success and borrow that wisdom and that knowledge, download it into our cellular memory, into our energy field, and start to live it, which is why a big part of my work is acting as if you already have what you want. Again, the logical mind just cannot deal with it. We'll argue till the cows come home. But the logical mind, or the programmed mind, I should say, is your conditioning that keeps you stuck where you don't want to be. So do you want to listen to that, or do you want to try something new? Nina decided to try something new. I've used toiletries and cleaning products that are mostly natural. Well, this is about the endocrine disruptive chemicals that affect us, and again, our body is so busy trying to break down toxins that it can't rest, repair, feed or breed. You see how important these things are. I've taken action to create a more positive annual family holiday that's different to how it's been before. And actually, I believe she just came back from that. She's now making more money than she knows what to do with. She said that to me. She's in her permanent role now. She's getting used to the travel and the shifts that are taking place. And this is why, in my opinion, we haven't quite got to the conception phase yet, because she needs to normalise her current lifestyle, get used to it, and then she can, that's the point of integration, right? And then she can embody it, and her body is used to it and can reach a homeostasis, can reach a state of being able to work with it as an ebb and flow, because it's normal. It's got programmed in as her normal day-to-day life now, rather than what was before. And getting used to things coming easily to you can take a while to accept. You will still, one way or another, try and sabotage that. And again, this is why it takes time, because to get to the place of having what we want, we have to own it. We have to believe we truly deserve it and step into acknowledging it is actually really happening, and not being focused all the time on what could possibly go wrong. So that does embody this sense of feeling safe through all areas of life, no matter what is thrown at us, the known and the unknown, which for those of us who need to control things in order to feel safe, you can understand why more time is needed. Due to changing my exercise routine, my hips, pelvis, thighs and tummy are much softer and more comfortable, and my psoas and lower back are more supple. Now, this was the payoff of all the exercise, was that her psoas was extremely tight. She had lower back issues, so she'd really lost her flexibility. She had a foot issue as well that was playing up. And it's not that there's no room for high impact exercise, it's just where it is in your cycle, how you're using it, and whether it's really benefiting your intention to have what you want, whatever that is, baby or otherwise. Family holiday, by the way, was challenging at times, but one of the things that Nina reported back to me, that although it was challenging, she felt it was the first step towards her putting some healthy boundaries in place with her family members. Now that is so important, especially if you're getting ready to also be a mum, because you don't want anyone around you dictating how you're going to bring up your child or children. Alright, my breasts have been getting bigger. Well, hey, I found that happened as well. It's all part of self-love. I've lost a bit of weight in places, even though I've stopped doing intense workouts. That's all good, isn't it? When you're scared of putting on weight, and that's why you do it. I'm more effective at work. Now that's important, especially when you get baby brain. That's going to come later, but knowing that you can be more effective at what you do means you can relax, because it's easier to do without you thinking about it so much, isn't it? I'm not always rushing. Deep breath. I have more peace at the weekend and when I'm not working. Not all the time, but often. And when it happens, I notice it. I find it easier to speak up with my colleagues at work. Now, Nina was a classic people pleaser. Her opinion didn't matter. She was there to serve everybody else. Her needs last, everyone else's needs first. Doesn't help you to become a mum when you prioritise everyone else in front of you. It leaves you in a deficit and also builds resentment because of the unsaid things that we then attack ourselves with, or the people closest to us that we know will take it because they love us anyway. Let's cut that crap. Doesn't help. I'm honouring my truth in my relationship. That's very important. There's a lot of changes that need to take place, and actually seeing how her partner has stepped up because she's been honouring her truth. This is one of those things that she couldn't actually believe would be possible, and it used to lead to regular, intense arguments that she spent a lot of her time seeking to avoid, but still played on her mind. That's not an issue anymore, because those issues are being addressed properly, because she has drawn her line. And that's what happens when you respect yourself, others respect you. Please don't sweep all this stuff under the carpet if it's true in your life and expect that having a baby is going to make it all go away, because it ain't. It's going to intensify it a lot. And that's why we end up with breakups after babies that are avoidable, by actually putting measures in place for two people to love and respect each other and show up differently for each other by showing up differently for themselves. I now feel like I might conceive, that it might be possible. Now, this is a woman that did not believe it was possible at all. She couldn't believe it could happen to her. She had to be the exception to the rule, that even though there was no real known reason that she couldn't conceive or hadn't conceived to this point, that there was clearly something really wrong with her that no one knew about. This was her story when we first started to work together. Now she believes that it might be possible. Not only that, now when her period comes, it's a real sense of, oh, why has it come again? I'm ready for this. I'm really ready for this, because she knows she's been doing all the stuff necessary to prepare her for having it. And yes, most of her is ready. It's just that other aspects of her life need to normalise in her new world, in her new role, so that she can say, I'm ready for the next unknown, because there have been so many that she has embraced in the last 11 months. I am more comfortable allowing myself to express anger. How many women internalise it? How many men internalise it? Really bad for your health and your blood pressure. I like my body, and I'm relieved that I don't need to do punishing exercise to be at peace with it. That's the no pain, no gain thing, right? You've got to suffer to get a reward. Please, if that's something that runs your life, get in touch. It doesn't help. You might get what you want, but the cost is way too high because you've programmed yourself, or you have the program that says you have to suffer. I hosted my first Christmas and it was effortless and great. I do remember this. I remember Nina reporting back to me just how happy she was at home, just how much she was enjoying being with her husband at home, just how much she was enjoying doing things that to that point had been such a nightmare in her life, something that she actually dreaded. I am loving myself more. I am enjoying my relationships more with colleagues, friends at work. That's about trust, right? Trusting the world is a safe place and not everybody's out to attack you. I am far less of a perfectionist around my own behaviour, less superstitious around having to get everything right according to some set of rules. So many of us are triggered by that. If I do everything right, then I should get my result. Why haven't I got it? Why haven't I got it? Why haven't I got it? But it's not about doing everything right on the tick box up here in your brain. It's about embodying what you want. That is a different story. I am cooking most of my own food rather than ready packaged stuff. Big thing when you're on the run all the time and it's so easy to rely on convenience foods. Nourishing yourself is all about what you put in your mouth, through your eyes, through your ears, on your body, and in your environment. Okay, so be very mindful of that. What do you feed yourself with? What do you nourish yourself with? And bless everything. I am no longer so afraid of the topic of conception. So you can see how this fear thing is needing some more time to be cleared, because we've got to go from it's impossible to I'm scared of it but I believe it's possible to actually bring it on. I'm so ready for this. I'll take whatever comes with it. And, you know, squeamishness, whether it's around sexuality, our sex, whether it's about invasive procedures, whether it's around needles, whether it's around gynecological exams, all of that stuff can really block us from being able to get to what we want, especially with regard to pregnancy. I'm spending less money out because my life is simpler and I am enjoying being at home. Less having to distract yourself. I am recognising new blind spots around things all of the time. For example, money, being compliant and sticking to a process, black and white thinking, doing others' work for them and neglecting myself. Now, why would any of this matter? Well, it's to do with self-judgment, okay? Like when we judge others, we judge ourselves. When we judge ourselves, we judge others. And judgment is a mother wound. It comes from the mother, even if our father or the father role in our lives was the most judgmental. And what it really does is it just reveals that we feel we're pretty worthless and shitty. And so we have to make ourselves be better than someone or something else in order to feel we're worth anything. And so the judgment piece is a self-attack, and that's not a self-nourishment or a nourishing attack. And one of the things that I'll always ask anybody is, would you want to be in your womb? If you want to conceive, would you want to be in your womb right now? And, you know, if you can't answer yes to that, then that's a really good starting point, okay? Being comfortable in your own skin and your own womb, and what you have to give is very important. Give it to yourself first. And recognizing blind spots is not something to beat yourself up about. It's something to celebrate, because you're seeing things you couldn't see before, and others will reveal them to you as well. Trust me, I have people revealing to me my blind spots because I can't see them. I spend money on my coach to show me where I can't see things that might block me in some areas of my life. My closest family members will lovingly reveal to me things I cannot see, less lovingly at other times, but it's my job to be loving and compassionate and accepting of myself no matter what. And that's what starts to create that inner relationship that is about feeling supported, that is about feeling like someone's got your back, because you've got your own back. You're not going to abandon, reject, or betray yourself no matter what. Now, all of this is relevant to anything you want to manifest or co-create in your life. If you are going to abandon, reject, or betray yourself because you feel you've failed, then the risk of even trying isn't worth it, is it? You might as well not bother, because if you're going to give yourself a hard time, you know that there's that stick that's right there waiting to beat you up. And many of us have had the experience of 1 minute the mother that's all kind and loving, and the next minute the one that's being really mean and controlling to us. It might have been our dad, but that's not the internal family you want to be, looking after your inner child. And your inner child does need to feel safe for you to create something in your life that you don't currently have. So remember, that dialogue is super important. I am no longer so afraid of the topic of conception. Oh, we've done that one. I'm saying no at work and with my family with more ease and confidence. Own your no. I'm daring to be flirty sometimes and express myself. That's owning your sexual energy. Sexual energy, creative energy, fertile energy, it's the same thing, baby. Flirtiness is beautiful. It's charisma. It's what gets things done with a smile, rather than, oh, they told me I should do it, so I'll do it. You know, when you encourage the best in others, they encourage the best in you. Isn't it nice to do things in a way that, even if it's hard work, even if it's things you don't want to do it with your heart in the right place and a smile on your face? And finally, I am more comfortable with trusting my intuition. Now, Nina said to me that she felt she would be pregnant later this year, and I'm holding her to that. So we're halfway through the year, and I am so excited about all of these changes, because as I said, at this stage, it seems as though she's made all the big changes she's needed to make. She's gone through that tunnel of change that is the thing that most of us resist doing in the first place. So now she's integrating all of the changes, she's getting ready to embody them, and then to move into the next phase. And this is the beautiful thing about the people I work with. It was my own coach, Brenda, that actually revealed this to me. She's like, you know, however many rounds you do with me, at the end of this, what I want to be able to say, and what I aim for, is that we're good friends, that I can say you're a good friend of mine, and that you can say that I'm a good friend of yours. And this is how I feel about all of my clients, whether I work with them one-to-one or I work with them in a group format. Very often, those who work with me group decide to work with me one-to-one, and then to work with me again at a later date. So sometimes, the benefits that come about through doing this deeper work is that your income increases, that your love life gets better, that your body image improves, that all these other things change, even if you haven't quite got what you wanted yet. Because, as I said to you, there are so many factors that come into actually having what you want. Most of us are scared of having it because we don't know what to do afterwards. We become scared of losing it. So the fear of success is often bigger than the fear of failure. So we stay in the place of trying. And that's why any of you who are wanting something, please stop trying to get it. You're on the way to receiving it, okay? You're in the process of receiving it. And when you decide that you want to take a leap, then get in touch, because my process really is one to guide you through every stage of what needs to happen to build the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. And, you know, this is about desire mapping. This is about us getting together and seeing what it is you want and why you want it and what you think is in the way. And then I bring my expertise in and I point the light into areas that you might not have thought about yet. And we work on clearing your subconscious programming and resistance to having what you want. Now, that might take 1 round, it might take 2, it might take 3, it might take 4. But, you know, whatever it takes is what it takes, right? Because ultimately, if you can see that your trajectory is going upwards and you are moving forward, then there is absolutely no shame in having the support to get there. No one who is super successful got there on their own. absolutely everybody had help to get there. If you want to be an expert at something, you learn from an expert. If you want to do it all yourself, just to say that you've done it and just to know that you can rely on yourself no matter what, good luck. It's going to take a long time. You might get there. You might find some of your answers on YouTube and some of them on Google and some of them through a friend and some of them with this, but if you make a concentrated effort, if you commit big time to what you want, that's when you get your big time results, because you are fully invested. Heart, mind, wallet, body, the whole shebang. And that's when you get your results. So if you are intrigued, to give you a little more of a sense of how I work, I will connect the dots of all the areas of your life. So we look at what you actually want. And I will start challenging the assumptions you have, which are the blind spots in your beliefs that you might not be aware of. Then we are going to go together where you haven't gone before, where you've been scared to go, but I'm going to hold your hand and support you through it. And I do that through support between my sessions as well with you. And also teaching you to be patient with yourself and all the things that you want, because things come in divine timing, not in your ego timing. And that's one of the key things that I do with you, is to get you used to surrendering your personal ego will to your divine will, because your divine will is you. It's the higher version of you who already has what you want. So I hope you found this inspiring and it has opened you up to what is possible and made you come to understand how important the whole journey is, not just the destination, because you want to enjoy the destination once you get there. So everything that you learn along the way is going to be what helps you to enjoy getting there. And if you would like to take that first step, then remember to book your breakthrough call with me ASAP. You can do that through the website. You can do that through following the link with this video. I typically have a waiting list of between 1 and 3 months for my one-to-one work, and my group coaching happens 4 times a year. There are lots of ways you can connect with me, but it all starts with a breakthrough call, just to check in with where you're at and where you want to be and what's going to serve you to get there in terms of what I can actually offer. So if you're feeling inspired, just hit that click button now and book your breakthrough call, and let's get started on this journey, because it is my absolute joy to share with you how you can succeed in your life and be successful in a multi-dimensional way. So that means in all areas of your life, and how to approach the sort of fear-based paradigm of the 3rd dimension, the dreamlike state of the 4th dimension, and the co-creating state, which is where we really claim our powers our power as co-creators of our reality in the 5th dimensional state. And learning to transverse those on this earthly plane is what I help you to do. It is a wonderful way of living, seeing through eyes of love and loving what you see, and trusting that life really does love you and wants you to be happy and wants you to have what you want. You've just got to align with it first and get rid of the gunk that would otherwise prevent you from enjoying what you feel you want, and also being able to give what you want a chance to be a benefit to those in the world that are here already. We all have inspired dreams. Let's make them happen. Namaste. So much love.